Hey YouTube, it's Crash1990, and today I am showing off my Pathfinder The Walking Storm deck for the Sorcery TCG. So a little history on this deck. This is one of the very first Sorcery decks I made, or more or less it's an add-on to one of the first Sorcery decks I made when I, got my Kickstarter box, and I didn't even know Pathfinder was an avatar back then. And I was fortunate enough to get one because this is one of the unique rarity avatars, so it's quite difficult to open just in packs. And reading this card, I absolutely loved it because it it combines like putting out resources and moving your avatar instead of having to choose which one you want to do. And I felt it was a great avatar for a beginner player. And I still think it is, though at times you have to be cautious about where you're moving Pathfinder. It's one of the weaknesses to Pathfinders, accidentally moving yourself into a threat range and then just getting dogpiled on or killed, especially when you're on death's door. But anyway, let's go into the deck, and you'll get the idea of where Walking Storm comes from. And if you're not familiar with my deck techs, I build decks to be incredibly thematic with a casual mindset in play instead of a competitive theme. So just keep that in mind when going over the deck. So we'll start off with the auras. We have 4 Blizzard and 4 Sandstorm, and this is basically where the Walking Storm kind of comes into play. Both of these essentially do the same thing, they're just different colors. And ideally, wherever we're moving Pathfinder mid to late game, we're going to be either dropping a Blizzard or a Sandstorm wherever Pathfinder is to protect it from being attacked. And the whole idea is that wherever Pathfinder is walking, there's like this a blizzard or a sandstorm whirling around it, and you can't attack it, can't hit it because you can't see it. So it's like a tornado basically going all over the realm. So both of these I think are great for protecting the Pathfinder. If you want to trim them down, you can. I run 4 of each because they only last for a turn and then they go away. And it's nice to be being able to just back them up over and over and over again. Next is a 100% staple card for Pathfinder in my personal opinion, and if you're building Pathfinder, this is the first card I think you should consider picking up, and it is Magellan Globe. Just throw it on Pathfinder, and all of a sudden, every edge of the realm is connected. So when you go to the very top, you can continue moving back down to the bottom, and same for left and right. It definitely adds a lot of options for Pathfinder, especially in the early turns when you're moving. And typically with Pathfinder, you're committing to either the right or the left, and Magellan Globe allows you to do so without having to backtrack yourself really at all. So Magellan Globe is exceptionally good in Pathfinder. Now we'll go over the minion package. There are 32 minions in this deck. And again, being a chess-like game, minions win games, and you should have a decent number of them in your deck. So we'll go over Sacred Scarabs first. It's a pretty good red card. Again, it's just a 2-drop, 1 power airborne, and on death right deals 3 damage to every unit here. So being airborne is great. Being a 2 cost with only 1 threshold is great. And then it just has that added caveat of whenever it dies, it will more than likely kill everything around it. Definite staple for red is Vile Imp, one of the better minions in the game. A 2-drop, 1 threshold, 2 power, Genesis, deal 2 damage to target adjacent unit, so it can also hit avatars. Very, very good card. Cerberus and Chains I think is really funny with Pathfinder because you just, put it to Pathfinder and it basically just walks along. So now not only does Pathfinder have these storms, it also has this big scary Cerberus that just, follow it around and help protect it. Fey Changeling is just an exceptional card. It's both you can use it, against your opponent or against your stuff. It can be summoned to any site. In the Genesis, you return a minion here to its owner's hand for 3 cost. Again, that 1 threshold and 1 power. You can bounce your Helpful Hobbs, which is ideally what it's in here for, and I'll get over those in a minute. You can rebounce this for, changing up your different targets on it. It's just an all-around great card. Morgana Le Fay, again, this is now another fire staple. When I first got my Arthurian Legends box, this was the card I was most hyped for. I talked about it in my community tab in my channel. It's a 3 cost, 3 fire threshold, 3 power, spellcaster, and stealth. For whatever reason, she has stealth. And Genesis, she draws her own hand of 3 spells, which only she can cast. So essentially, it is a 3 drop, 3 power minion with stealth that draws you 3 spells. This card's absolutely busted. Um, thank goodness they made it a unique. So, yeah, this card's crazy. Here we go with the Tufty Turtles. Again, if you're playing blue, you're probably playing your Turtles. They're really good at just defending your sites. 3 cost, 1 threshold, 2 power. The first time they're dealt damage, they prevent it. They're very, very annoying to deal with. Next is a helpful Hob. This is actually a very good card, especially in Pathfinder. It is a 4 cost, double water threshold, 1 power, so it's a little pricey. We got 4 of them in here because it's an ordinary. Genesis, untap target or untap an adjacent ally. So essentially, you're untapping Pathfinder to then retap Pathfinder to move and ramp 1. So pretty good. You're getting extra positional movement and you're getting extra sights in play. Helpful Hob is fantastic, especially if Fate Changeling, when you just keep bouncing them and replaying them towards the later stages of the game. It's excellent. You got 2 copies of Selfsame Simulacrum, 4 cost, double threshold, 0 power. It just basically comes into play as a copy of a nearby minion. So you can copy your own stuff that we got here for like added benefits. Or if your opponent's playing some annoying stuff, copy it and then you can just trade with it and they kill each other. So it could be a pseudo removal spell or, just you can even copy your Cerberus and Chains if you really want to. So pretty funny there. I really like Selfsame Simulacrum. This is another card I don't get to play that much, and I've been trying to put it in more of my decks, and it's Bold Demons of Adum. This card's actually pretty fun. It is a 5 drop, double fire threshold, 5 power, and it taps to move 3 steps in a cardinal direction. When it enters each other location, they strike each untapped unit there. So it's kind of like a rolling boulder almost, but on a minion, a 5 power minion. And it's also a demon, and if you don't know my channel insignia or whatever, the thing that I painted, I really like demons. I kind of have them tattooed all over my arm as well. So whenever I have a chance to run a demon, I am going to, especially when they're pretty decent too. Mother Nature, this is another card I'm trying to use more because it is very good, but it dies every single time I play it. So it's almost like a soak for a removal spell, and it is Mother Nature. It's a 6 drop, double water threshold, 3 power. At the start of your turn, reveal your topmost spell. If it's a minion, you may summon it here. So, card's extremely good. And yes, if your opponent does not kill this and this thing goes unchecked, you're probably just going to win the game. Got a 2 Ancient Dragon, 7 drop, triple fire threshold, 6 power airborne. So that alone is always really good. And then it can tap to do 4 damage to each other unit at target location nearby. Just a very solid endgame finisher. One of my all-time favorite cards in Sorcery, especially this art. Good lord, I love this art. It's so good. Like this and Pudge Butcher are the cream of the crop when it comes to Sorcery art. And that is Death Dealer, 7 drop, double fire threshold, 4 power, Genesis, blow everything up except for it. So yeah, a Wrath of God effect, very very good. And again, if you're playing water, I always include both of these cards because they're just insane finishers. Diluvian Kraken, just an 8 power minion, and Great Old One being a 16 power minion that floods the entire realm. Definite HP Lovecraft vibes, which I am a huge HP Lovecraft fan. So again, I'm going to play these when I can. And getting to play them with demons is also very cool. Now I'm going to the magic spells. We have 18 of them, and it's just a lot of burn. It is just an insane amount of burn and removal, because this Pathfinder deck basically plays like a burn deck. We have 4 Heat Ray. It's a 3-drop, 1 threshold, and a shoot a piercing projectile. Deal 2 damage to 1 unit at each location along its path. So getting that long-range burn to try and kill our opponent's avatar while they're on death's door is what this is in here for. Same thing with Ice Lance. Shoot a piercing projectile, deal 3, then 2, then 1 damage to up to 1 unit at each of the first 3 locations along its path. So these are our Death Door enablers to quickly end the game once it gets there. Next, these are where another part of the storm idea come for Pathfinder. We have 3 Frost Nova and 3 Poison Nova. Frost Nova being a 4-drop, freeze nearby enemy minions. They're disabled until your next turn. So think of it as like a Frost Pulse shooting from Pathfinder and freezing everything around it to protect it. And then we also have Poison Nova, which is a 5-drop, 1 threshold, lethal, deal 1 damage to each other nearby minion. So Pathfinder shooting out a lethal ray of poison, eliminating everything around it to help protect it. Because again, Pathfinder's weakness is that it can get just ganged up on because it can get thrown into the front lines pretty fast with this the natural playstyle of Pathfinder, which is why I am playing both Blizzard Sandstorm and Frost Nova and Poison Nova. We have an endgame finisher as well with Major Explosion. 7-drop, target a location up to 2 steps away. I do like that 2 steps away, gives you that added range for playing this card. And you deal damage to each unit at locations in the area of effect, being the location you target doing 7. In the cardinal directions, it does 5. And then in the corners, it will do 3. So it's a good way to get your opponent to Death's Door, or if they're on Death's Door, again, you just kill them off. This is a great thing about Burn in this game. It is exceptionally good. And finally, we're playing 2 Wrath of the Sea as a pseudo board wipe, but it's a little tricky to play this. And with Pathfinder, it's really difficult to plan where your water sites are going to be because you don't have Atlas cards in your hand. You're playing them blind off the top of your deck. But more than likely, you're going to have some water sites out, and this being a looming threat in your deck will make your opponent not want to go to those water sites. Basically, you flood all sites adjacent to a body of water this turn, then submerge all minions and artifacts on water. So it makes your water sites stretch out a little further and removes everything if they don't have submerge off the board. So that is the Atlas, or not the Atlas, the spellbook. Now we'll go into the Atlas. And I'm not really going to go over this in particular because there's no, like, I'll go over Vaults of Azul because I think it's hilarious in Pathfinder, but the rest of this, more or less, is just in here to gain your thresholds. That is a huge thing for Pathfinder, is making sure you have your thresholds, which is why I play Avalon. Even though it affects both players, I don't care because I'm getting my fire, water, and my mana thresholds. So, yeah. The little tech that I do play in here that I think is a very funny card, and probably, I think it's Pathfinder is the best deck for this card. It's Vaults of Azul. It says the first time an avatar stops here, they draw 3 cards and skip their next turn. So ideally, you wouldn't really want to play this because you're tapping your avatar to play it and you're enabling your opponent to go and draw 3 cards. And, this is a card game. Card draw is very good. Even if you're skipping your next turn, as long as you're in a position to handle that, you don't want to give your opponent 3 cards because they skip their next turn, so they'll get to use the 3 cards that they draw off of this the turn that they step into this, which again is where the Blizzard and Sandstorm come into effect here, or Frost Nova and Poison Nova. If we draw into them, we can at least protect our avatar from when we skip our turn. It's still good because I don't, at the start of your turn, yeah, so you skip it, so I don't know if this would actually trigger, but I know these being able to eliminate, because I've never actually had that happen with the Vaults of Azul in both of those. I have drawn these off of Vaults of Azul and cleared everything around me, and pretty much wasn't. I've never died stepping into this card, though it hasn't happened much. I will say that because 40 card Atlas and Pathfinder, yeah, it's going to be a very rare occurrence. But Pathfinder, you guaranteed step into this because you move into it when you play it. So it's a guaranteed draw 3 for 0 mana. Skipping your next turn is still pretty rough, but again, as long as you hit it late game and you're able to protect yourself on the turn you draw those 3, it's great. Early game, it's not that big of a deal either. More than likely, your opponent won't be able to affect you, and then you can always re-ramp back up to normal pace with your helpful hobs on your Pathfinder. So let's look over the cost curve. Again, it's on the more expensive side because we have a lot of big endgame bomb stuff, which kind of throws off the mana curve. And helpful hob being a 4 cost definitely makes this deck more of a mid-rangey kind of a vibe. And I don't know, once more sets come out and there's better, cheaper stuff, you could probably see this spike up in time as well. And we'll just go over some test hands for people just to see, what it could potentially look like, however accurate this may be. Not draw sites. There you go. So yeah, anyway, that is my Pathfinder the Walking Storm deck. If you have any thoughts, on this deck, any additions that you would like to see or that you would probably do making this deck, let me know in the comments down below. And again, I have started a Discord channel, and the link for that will be in the description down below. So please feel free to join that. I do plan on starting to do giveaways this year on my channel, and the winners to the giveaways will be announced in my Discord. So if you want to be a part of that, you'll have to be a part of my Discord. And again, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. And until next time, I will catch you all later. See ya.